In Los Angeles. Junko meets John at Los Angeles International Airport. John used to study in Japan. Hi, Junko. I'm here.
Hello, John. I haven't seen you for a long time. You look great. You left Japan 2 years ago, but you haven't changed at all.
I heard you're a college student in New York. How are you getting along in the city?
Well, being a student isn't easy. I have to work hard.
But you should enjoy your life, too.
Of course I enjoy myself. You know, it's difficult to find a more exciting place than New York. There are so many plays, concerts, museums. You'd never be able to see them all. I knew American colleges were tough, but to be honest, I didn't expect it to be this tough. We have to read many books and write reports almost every day. And you know, many classes have discussions. I wasn't trained to express my thoughts, and my English is still somewhat limited.
I had the same impression when I studied in Japan. I sometimes doubted if Japanese had their own opinions. It wasn't easy to tell what they were thinking. Well, shall we take a super shuttle bus downtown?
Okay. This airport is really big.
Yes, it handles the third largest number of passengers in the world. I'm sorry that my car is being repaired now. I found an advertisement on a college bulletin board and bought my car for only $500. I drove home from Berkeley recently. Maybe my car is too old for long-distance trips. Today, my brother is using our family car. But don't worry, we can use it tomorrow.
What a wide road. There are about 8 lanes.
This highway is called a freeway. There is no train or subway system in Los Angeles, so we have to rely on buses or cars.
That's why the roads are so crowded. Japan has the same problem.
How do you like Los Angeles?
Of course, Los Angeles is dynamic.
What is dynamic about it?
Take the highways, for example. They're much wider than Japan's. I see many tall buildings, but the city still appears spacious.
Okay, we'll drive around a little more and then go to my house in Santa Monica. It's a beautiful town along the beach. The atmosphere is quite different from this area. Well, let's go to Little Tokyo first. It's the largest Japanese town outside Japan.
It's said that 70,000 Japanese people live in New York and its suburbs, but most of them stay there on business. They usually go back to Japan after 3 to 5 years. I think very few are permanent residents.
I see. On the West Coast, many Japanese immigrated before World War II. Now, many Japanese are the 3rd and 4th generations. Here we are.
Oh, it reminds me of old Japan. You can't find this type of bakery any longer in Tokyo. They sell old-fashioned bean paste bread and namune soda. Let's try some. Yummy.
Yes, I sometimes come here to use my Japanese.
But aren't there many Japanese immigrants in Los Angeles? Don't you have an opportunity to speak Japanese?
I know a 4th-generation Japanese American in my neighborhood. He's a high school student, but he can't speak Japanese at all.
I also met a 2nd-generation Japanese American in Japan. His parents didn't speak fluent English, but he was completely American in thought as well as language.
He was probably educated in American schools. On the West Coast, Asian immigrants from Korea and Taiwan are increasing in number. I hear that in some schools, more than half of the students are from those countries.
What's a Hispanic? I often hear that word.
Hispanics are people whose native language is Spanish and come mostly from Central or South America. They prefer to be called Latinos. Many Latinos in the West are from Mexico. Vietnamese refugees also live here, as do other immigrants from Southeast Asia. Of course, immigration causes friction.
I understand that America is made up of many people with different backgrounds. This country is unique because it was founded on immigration. The first Americans were immigrants, except for the Native Americans.
Yes, originally, many Native American tribes lived in the East as well as in the West. For example, the Iroquois tribe lived in New York State. In 1849, gold was discovered by accident in California, causing the gold rush. Many people who wanted to get rich quick traveled to California. In the mid-19th century, the Transcontinental Railway opened, and more people came to live on the West Coast.
But the history of the West is, in a sense, how Native American and Mexican lands were taken away. California, for example, was conquered in the war with Mexico.
You're right, but almost all countries have had armed conflicts to achieve development and expansion. American history is very short, and people can easily trace it.
How do most Native Americans live now?
They live on reservations, special districts for them.
Can't they enter American society?
Of course, but it is very difficult for them to leave their communities. You will leave Los Angeles for the Grand Canyon next week, right? You should visit a reservation near there. Junko is invited to dinner by John's family.
The food was delicious. Thank you.
John said Japanese believe American cooking is poor. Is that true, Junko?
Yes, I have to admit, I think American cooking has strong associations with fast food, like hamburgers and hot dogs. Japanese also think American food is high in fat and calories. I've noticed Americans eat very differently at home. I was surprised that Mr. Howard served the roast chicken this evening.
It's always the host's role to serve. Are you getting used to American life? Where do you live now?
She lives in New York, Mom. She goes to NYU.
First I was shocked by the city noise, and people looked as if they were in a hurry. I believed Americans were all like John, cheerful, funny, and friendly.
People in the West may give a cheerful and friendly impression.
Maybe it's related to the climate. In New York, for example, it's cold half of the year. Speaking for myself, winter often makes me depressed. But several months later, I found that Easterners are actually very kind and good-natured. I wasn't open-minded. In the end, the individual is important, not the place. I can't generalize about Americans. This is such a large country. America handles so much diversity, but remains a world leader. I have to admit, America is a great country.
Oh, thank you for your compliment. John acquired many new viewpoints while he was in Japan. I hope you will also learn many things while you study in America.